Russia is using new, even more dangerous Shahids. The United States is preparing to strike Iran, and Elon Musk's spacecraft has exploded. We'll tell you about all this and more today on TSN. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave comments during the broadcast, and give us a like. And here are a few more topics from today's episode.
The Great Return. Severely ill Ukrainian soldiers have been freed from Russian captivity.
Who exactly is among those rescued and what is their condition? He claimed that Russia supposedly did not start the war and tried to flatter Donald Trump. The Russian dictator spoke at a press conference. The Kremlin leader repeated all talking points, insisting that his country did not start the war and wants to end it. He expressed his willingness to meet with the president of Ukraine at the final stage of peace negotiations. And at the same time, he stated that he does not consider Zelensky a legitimate representative for making any agreements. Putin also once again tried to flatter the American president, essentially repeating Trump's claim that the war in Ukraine would not have happened if he had been president instead of Joe Biden. And once again, Putin lied by claiming that his military supposedly only strikes military targets, which sounded especially cynical against the backdrop of recent shelling of residential buildings in Ukrainian cities. Finland is preparing to defend itself against Russia. The country's parliament has supported withdrawing from the convention banning anti-personnel mines. Previously, the Baltic countries and Poland had already taken this step. The decision by the Finnish parliament was made against the backdrop of reports about threatening activity by Russian troops near the country's border. According to the Finnish public broadcaster, the construction is visible in satellite images. Specifically, it concerns a garrison for an artillery brigade in Kandalaksha. The media notes that this is the first concrete sign of an increase in the number of Russian troops near the Finnish border, just 110 kilometers away from it. Satellite images have also captured changes at Russian military facilities on the Karelian Isthmus, including new equipment. This concerns a new army corps. That's approximately 15,000 additional soldiers at the border. The Finnish public broadcaster notes that Russia is currently able to wage war against Ukraine while simultaneously building up forces on the NATO border. Could Putin dare to open another front and attack one of the NATO countries? And who is most at risk, Finland, which only recently gave up its neutrality and joined the alliance? Or perhaps the Baltic countries, where the Kremlin can always play the old record about protecting Russian speakers? Write what you think about all this in the comments to the broadcast. At the same time, thank you for watching TSN. I encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And now the news broadcast continues. There is still a lot of important news ahead. American officials are preparing for a strike on Iran in the coming days. This was reported by Bloomberg. Their sources do not rule out that the United States could carry out a strike as early as this weekend. The Wall Street Journal also reports that Donald Trump has privately approved a plan to strike Iran. However, the American president told his aides that he is willing to wait to see if Tehran abandons its nuclear program. Sources cited by the publication named the Fordow plant as a possible target for the Americansa well-protected facility that is a key part of Iran's nuclear program. Israel cannot strike it on its own because it does not have the necessary weapons. The IDF reports that it has struck Iranian nuclear and military facilities. At the same time, Iran hit, among other targets, a hospital in Beersheba. Reports indicate that nearly 1,500 Israelis were wounded during the latest attacks. Hours at home. Another group of seriously ill soldiers has been returned to Ukraine from Russian captivity. Each of them has severe medical diagnoses and illnesses as a result of being held prisoner. Many are suffering from significant weight loss, dystrophy, ulcers, and vision problems. This is another stage of the exchange that was agreed upon in Istanbul. The format is all for all in two categories: those who are seriously wounded and seriously ill, as well as prisoners under the age of 25. The number of defenders returning home today is once again not being disclosed, but it is already clear that this 66th exchange will be the largest of all, as it is not yet finished, and we are expecting new stages soon. Among those who have been brought back today are the defenders of Mariupol. Most of them had been in captivity since 2022. All those free today are rank-and-file soldiers and sergeants. Mariana Buchan witnessed their reunion with their loved ones.
The fifth stage of the 66th exchange has taken place. As usual, the press is not allowed to disclose the number of people who returned home today. But we counted 2 buses and 5 ambulances. How many more stages there will be in this exchange is currently impossible to say. But now, watch how it all happened just without any commentary.
Welcome home! Welcome home! Welcome home! Back! We're giving it to the dog! Come on through! Come on through! Yes! Come on through! Let's move along! Thank you!
Welcome home.
How long exactly were you in captivity?
Almost 40 months.
Where did you end up? Where were you taken prisoner?
I was defending Chernihiv. Oh, you mean here? Old friend, you can't see it, but what are you feeling?
Well, you can see it, but what about your brother?
My brother's probably still in shock that he can't see me.
I still can't believe it.
You still can't believe it, right?
They welcomed me so warmly, I even felt a bit embarrassed. The kids, the little one before Chernihiv, and everyone is going there.
You know that everyone is welcomed here, right? Just look at how many people are here. Everyone is welcomed like this. I'll hand them over to the elder who will go with them to the rehabilitation center, and there they'll have more time to get acquainted, to look around, because they'll be calmer by then.
Today's stage is the continuation of work with the category of seriously ill and severely wounded. These are privates and sergeants from various age groups. Today, the youngest is 42, and the oldest, if I'm not mistaken, is 63 years old. And there are some terrible and unpleasant diagnoses. Some of them obviously are related in particular to the conditions of their detention. There is gangrene, for example, a word that in the modern world people are starting to forget even exists. Nevertheless, everyone is now receiving the urgent medical assistance they need, and then comes the process of long-term rehabilitation.
Welcome, guys! Are there any large-scale movements?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, really, for everything.
Mariana Buchan, Alexander Shian, Andriy Romanok, Alexei Osavchuk, TSN, 1+1.
88 drones were neutralized by the Ukrainian Air Force last night. Our air defense managed to shoot down 40 drones, and another 48 were lost from radar. In total, the enemy launched 104 Shahed-type attack drones across our country. They flew in from Milerovo, Kursk, Oryol, Primorsko-Akhtarsk, and the territory of temporarily occupied Crimea. Strikes were recorded in 6 regions, according to the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. They could devastate the entire country. With these words, a radio technology expert warns about the threat posed by new Russian Shahed drones equipped with cameras and artificial intelligence modules. Russia is massively upgrading its long-range drones, changing its attack tactics, and preparing for massive swarm strikes. Serhiy Flash-Beskresnov, a specialist in electronic warfare and communication systems, calls for the immediate launch of large-scale production of interceptors and for training people to counter this new threat. On his Telegram channel, he shared photos of the first Russian Shahed equipped with a camera, a direct radio control system, and an artificial intelligence module. He says that it has long been known such a drone was in development, but it has only now been documented for the first time. The expert also explained the scale of the threat. A special radio modem allows this drone to be controlled at a distance of up to 150 kilometers, but it can also operate at greater distances if aerial relays are used in our skies. At night, Russian forces shelled an ambulance station in the Kherson region with artillery. No medical staff were injured, but a garage and 2 ambulances were damaged. Throughout the day, Kherson and 30 villages and settlements were also attacked. There are 9 people wounded there. In Virivka, a man who tried to neutralize a discovered drone was injured, and in Zelenivka, rescuers spent the whole day extinguishing fires after a drone attack. Meanwhile, in Komishani and Romashkove, the Russians shelled with artillery, wounding 2 people there. Another 6 people were injured by shrapnel in Bereslav-Antonivka, Bilozerka, and the regional center. 13 people were wounded in Donetsk region. The Russians targeted residential neighborhoods in Sviatohirsk with S-300 missiles. 5 women and 1 man were injured there. In the city, about 20 apartment buildings and private houses, cars and commercial pavilions were damaged. 3 people were injured in Ocheretine, 2 in Khruske, another 2 in Mirnorad, and 1 in Lyman. One man was killed and 4 more people were wounded during the morning shelling in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Among the injured is an 11-year-old boy. Nikopol district was hit by drones, and artillery destroyed a car and damaged a private house. It was loud last night in Russia as well. Locals complained about the drone attack. The hostile Ministry of Defense claimed to have shot down 81 drones in 11 regions. In particular, this refers to the Bryansk, Kursk and Smolensk regions. As a result of the attack, the carpet plan was implemented at the airports in Kaluga and Volgograd. And the latter, a fire broke out in the area of the airfield. Officially, there are no casualties, but at least 15 explosions have been recorded in the Smolensk region, as well as drone strikes at the Milerovo airport in the Rostov region.
The occupiers are carrying out airstrikes on settlements in the Kharkiv, Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions and are also advancing in the Pokrovsk direction. Yesterday, around 50 Russian assaults were recorded here. In total, across the entire front line over the past day, the General Staff counted more than 1,500 enemy attacks. They are also trying to advance in the Lyman sector. There, they launched offensive waves 15 times in the areas of the settlements of Novyemir, Olivka, Khrakivka, Lipove and Zelena Dolina. The enemy attacked the positions of our defenders 24 times as well in the Novopavlivka direction in the areas of Zaporizhia, Bohatyr and Vesele. Ukrainian armed forces fighters managed to successfully repel the enemy assault near Malinivka. This is in the Huliaipol sector. Our defenders also repelled an attempted advance in the Kopyansk area. Problems of cosmic scale. A spacecraft belonging to Elon Musk's company SpaceX exploded during tests in Texas. The moment when things went off plan at the test site was caught on video. Despite the impressive scale of the explosion, the company assures that it poses no threat to people nearby. However, they ask visitors not to approach the area. The exact cause of the explosion has not yet been explained. The company is conducting an investigation. This month, after a loud quarrel between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the White House instructed the Department of Defense and NASA to collect data on government contracts with the businessman's company SpaceX. According to reports, Washington is currently considering whether to reduce the role that Musk's company could play in the ambitious new missile defense system of the United States. A diamond from the royal treasury that exceeded expectations. In New York, a precious gemstone that belonged to the daughter of the French monarch Marie Antoinette was sold at auction. The sellers had hoped to get between $3 and $5 million for it. However, the diamond was sold for almost 3 times the maximum estimate, $14 million. The identity of the new owner of the precious stone has not been disclosed. Although there are no official records of the diamond's ownership, it was passed down as an inheritance to the descendants of the Queen until eventually one member of a European royal family put the stone up for sale. At that time, the rare masterpiece appeared in public for the first time in many years, before disappearing again for several decades. Whether the new owner will make it accessible to the public remains unclear. However, before the auction, people had the opportunity to admire the diamond during its world tour. And that's all for now. In the comments to our broadcast on YouTube, let us know which of today's news stories impressed or surprised you the most. For example, what do you think, will the United States join Israel's war against Iran? Well, with that, I am concluding this TCH broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell so you can get all our updates promptly. And finally, take a look at the brief summary. Thursday, June 19, brought us the following news. Ukraine has brought back seriously ill soldiers from Russian captivity. Among them are privates and sergeants, paratroopers, territorial defense fighters and border guards.
Thank you, thank you. Come on, stand up.
Most of them had been in captivity since 2022. The men have serious medical diagnoses and illnesses.
Obviously, this is connected in particular with the conditions of their detention. There is gangrene, for example.
88 enemy drones were neutralized by Ukraine's Air Force last night. 40 of them were shot down. In total, the enemy launched 104 Shahed-type attack UAVs. Strikes were recorded at 6 locations. President Zelensky honored the memory of those who died at the site of the destroyed high-rise in Kyiv-Solomyansky district. A Russian missile pierced the building from the top all the way down to the basement. The aftermath of this attack is still being dealt with. In total, 28 people were killed and 140 were injured in Kyiv on the night before Tuesday. 14 victims remain in the hospital.
We need to clear the rubble and also douse the charred structures.
Finland is preparing to defend itself against Russia. The country wants to withdraw from the convention banning anti-personnel mines. Previously, the Baltic states and Poland had taken such a step. Parliament made this decision amid reports of threatening activity by Russian troops near the country's border. At full speed, with people in sight, it crashed into a tree. A tram in Kryvyi Rih derailed. The female driver was trapped in the cab and had to be rescued using special equipment. Several other passengers were seriously injured. The main cause of the accident is believed to be a technical malfunction. Putin stated that Russia did not start the war. He expressed his willingness to meet with the president of Ukraine. However, he immediately added that he does not consider Volodymyr Zelensky legitimate for making any agreements. Additionally, while commenting on the recent Russian terrorist attacks in Kyiv, he once again falsely claimed that his army only strikes military targets. The United States may strike Iran as early as this weekend. Donald Trump has reportedly given private approval for the operation, but is still waiting. Perhaps Tehran will abandon its nuclear program. Against this backdrop, mutual bombings between Iran and Israel continue. The Iranians in particular hit a hospital in the Israeli city of Be'er-Sheva with a missile. He got lost in the forest and does not respond to his name. In Prikarpatia, a 5-year-old boy has been missing for a second day and the search continues. At night, drones equipped with thermal imagers were deployed. Rescuers, police officers, National Guard members, divers and dog handlers are all involved in the search. A separate group is surveying the area on ATVs. The search is complicated by the fact that the child has an autism spectrum disorder.
Considering that the child does not speak and does not respond to their name, we were advised that the child might react to music from cartoons.
In Zaporizhia, a 36-year-old man who set fire to 3 military vehicles was detained. For carrying out this task for the Russian Special Services, he was supposed to receive $500 and was already preparing to plant explosives near administrative buildings. Now the arsonist faces 10 years behind bars. Problems of cosmic proportions. A SpaceX spacecraft exploded during tests in Texas. Elon Musk's company assures that there is no danger to people, but everyone is urged to stay away from the site of the explosion. The causes of the disaster are still being investigated.